back down here at Versailles a little later. I don't know how much later. I gotta go to sleep at some time because it's Friday, but I feel like playing some and letting Raid take care of itself a little bit. Anyway, we just finished assigning the strategy cards. That's a big deal in the game. Pretty much the only inflection point from here until the final push comes out. Although things change as the depth of the game goes further, as the unrest increases, etc. But nothing that's so obvious, right? Okay. So we're on the Italians. And again, I feel like I just have to video everything, because it's the decisions. It's all these individual little decisions, just like in a Euro. But I like this. I don't like most Euros. Okay. I take a look at the Italians. Look, they're not that concerned with these cards. They're not that concerned with any of those cards. It seems like a great time, since I have so much in here, to pull my 6 cubes out and my army. And I can do a military action. Now, I have a Europe and a Middle East. Somebody covers 2 Europe. The Middle East, though, I'm the only person there. So I am going to put an army in there in order to better protect my holding. And that brings us to the U.S. Doesn't have control of anything. It's time to start looking at stuff too, though, right? So like here, I want British fleets. Kind of a weird thing for the U.S. to want, but, all right. This is important to me. Put 2 in there. That means I have to put somewhere else. Now, this is really fucked up, because if I take U.S. fleets and own this, they're worth a point each to me. But British fleets, whether I own the issue or not, are worth a point each. So I'd rather have the British controlling stuff. You might make an argument that I want to do that. Maybe. But maybe instead, this is more valuable to me for the French mandate. Oh, to avoid the French mandate, I guess. I don't know. See, I mean, this is just happiness. Happiness is important. But this is a couple of victory points. Let's go up here. All right. Brits. Brits have control of this issue. We could take it. I think we want to. Although this is painful as hell. Fuck. I don't feel like we can let the Americans. Why didn't the Americans trigger that? They were idiots. Oh, they just put their pieces. Okay. I could grab this cheap. Let's do that. These just aren't all that important. Brits can grab this, but it's not their most important thing. I'm going to refresh. Do I need my army? Yeah. I need to deploy an army to Europe just to make sure, because I have 2 Europe cards. I could put it in a more valuable location. I don't really like doing that. Basically, if the revolt... These prevent the revolt from happening. But if the revolt happens, my 2 bid almost ensures me that I'm going to get it, right? Other people aren't probably going to pay as much. At least that's my thinking with it and how I've played it before. What about Italy? I got cubes now. I got no interest in anything, right? But do I want to just keep refreshing cubes? I think the answer is yes, and I think I'm going to take all 6 because I'm not terribly interested in avoiding putting cubes somewhere. I just want to be charged up for when the next, card that is important to me comes up. All right, no longer in control. How big a deal is this for me? I mean, it's not good. Now, one of the iffy things is I could put one of these cubes over here and strengthen my position there, but I'm going to put 2 cubes here. That covers, now I've got everything covered. I'm the lead on everything. The problem with that is, though, I've got a lot of cubes committed to different places. And I don't have to defend that. Put in the same damn place. This is just too important to the Brits. And I could drop a cube in here. That would be my cheapest play. Or I could drop a couple of cubes up here. I'm going to lose out on this if I'm not careful. I'll put them up here because I want this one with its factory. French. No control anywhere. Nice pile of cubes. If the Brits aren't going to take it, we'll take it. And here, what are the Brits doing here? What are the Americans doing here? The Americans don't want this, which means I'm going to be unhappy. On the other hand, grabbing that, I have some control. I'm not interested in the events there. I am interested in the one there. We'll put 3 cubes there. Military, we have it already. Italy. Well, we got to play now. And here's where the problem with what I did is. I could have gotten away with a couple of cubes, like 4 of my cubes, and then recharge now. But instead, sort of the cheapest I can do is drop a couple of cubes there and 3 up here in Shantung, which, it's costing me more cubes on the board. The U.S. Denied here, kind of being denied everywhere. This is a problem. I have 3 cubes on the board, or in my hand. It would take 2 to make this. I don't have anywhere I can put that final cube. I actually can't play in 2 issues because of this, which means I have no choice. I have to either release an issue. Well, I have a choice. I release an issue or I grab these. The Brits are going to release this. If I don't, I might as well take all my cubes back, withdrawing from the issue, because it's my turn. Britain will get the widow pensions. And what are they going to do about it? Well, they don't want that. So that's going to be, it's a reparations issue. Big value at 5. And U.S. loses a happiness, poor U.S., and EU gains an unrest. And you can see we went a long time without anything filling up because people decided to just keep competing instead of playing things out. Okay. Brits control, the U.S. controls this. Add or remove an unrest in the Middle East. We're playing in this. I'm going to add an unrest. I don't know. You know, there's sort of the look. Maybe we can get this, but maybe we can't. We're behind there and not ahead anywhere. That gets rid of the House of Saud. And we take a quick look. We don't want to put this up because the French would go relatively soon and be able to take it. And we're involved in that. Of course, that can be said about all of these. This one is, we feel, the most interesting to put in play. And then we look here, add a powder keg to the Middle East, check for uprising. A lot of unrest there. Unrest check in the Balkans, if no uprising, add an unrest. Let's put this one out. We get to pick a card. This is not all that appealing to us, even though it's miserable, more miserable for other people. All those other people are probably going to be diverted to choose the thing I don't particularly want. So we draw two. And I think we want this because we can make Japan miserable with it, which is one of our goals. It's a weird game. And then uprising check with a -1 to the die roll for Hoover. All right, the uprising is going to be Middle East. A -1 to the die roll means I need a 5 or more. There's a military in there, but it doesn't have the right to modify. Nothing happens. We go forward to the Brits. The Brits are not leading anywhere. Probably don't want to trigger for that. Not thrilled with what's going to happen. But we'll take 6 cubes back, recharge ourselves, be ready for the next fight. We don't have any reason to deploy military. The French. French are in the lead here. Seems like a good time. Okay. So the English get half back. The French spend. Togoland and Cameroon. What do we want to do? Well, we don't want to do these two because they make us unhappy. So we get a French Empire marker. It's not Belgian, is it? It looks yellow in the middle. It's because of the color of this, I guess. It might actually even be white. Nah, I think it's the background color. The U.S. loses a happiness. Wow. And Togoland and Cameroon go over here. Now that puts me in an interesting position. I am the only person with anything in Africa. Let's get some focus over there then, just because. Then we trigger this. Uprising check in the Balkans. It's at a 6 or more. No modifiers. And then the, if no uprising, add an unrest. Gets nastier. I like to look at them. And now it makes sense for me to promote this because I'm in the lead already there. And I look at this, I'm like, Transylvania. Who the fuck cares about Transylvania? Let's put it up because I'm not hurt by that being there. That's one of my key facets is, yeah, maybe you go for bigger risks or something later in the game if you're behind. But right now, just try to make sure that things that you don't absolutely need to play for are present. It doesn't give me anything, but that's not necessarily bad. It becomes something I don't need to compete with for otherwise. Over to Italy. Oh, wait. I didn't do all my choices. So reduce unrest in Europe by 3. That sounds cool, and I'm going to put my cube on it. See, it's happening early. That's the only problem. Like, the unrest is low in Europe. But I'm going to put my cube on it anyway. The other option is that, which I don't really care about. But yeah, I think that's worth a cube. And that means when it triggers, I control it. Okay. Italy can grab this. They have something to go forward. Seems like a good idea. Shantung. Well, what do we want? We do not get a bonus for keeping the Japanese from signing a treaty. Somebody else does, so this becomes kind of appealing. But, but, we get a point for that. We get a point for low unrest in regions. This is going to add unrest to the to Pennsylvania, to the Pacific. These boats, nobody cares about U.S. boats. So if I have the U.S. boats put in here and Japanese happiness, that might make sense. So that's what we're going to take. We're going to take U.S. naval commitment there. Now, if the U.S. had these, they would get a point each. But the only way they'd get them is by winning the issue and choosing that option. We'll push Japan forward by 2, trying to keep them in the treaty zone. And then the Pacific goes up. Not absolutely tickled by this. I am the only person in the Pacific. Let's deploy. I feel like deploying early is important. This is a big difference between the games, though. So the earlier game that I played feels like you start taking your armies off the board earlier in the game. Because as you start getting closer to the end, it becomes more and more worthwhile to grab these happiness points. But one of the problems is there's more cards added to the game and more potential for unhappiness and for unrest events and whatnot than there is for than there is added happiness at the beginning of the game. Italy has a lot, though, so they feel pretty comfortable. And it's not like it's a big deal. Like, I can demobilize stuff that's deployed. We'll bring that up. Oh, we don't do that yet. Hold on. But we are going to bring that up. Herbert Hoover. The French will reduce European unrest. This is used. Now we bring this up. We make our choice. Does Italy care? It's a lot of points. We don't have a lot of care about it. But it doesn't really appeal to me all that much. Even though I'm probably the person, well, you know, I got 2 people who like the same result as I like. Fuck it. Even though there's a factory. There's a factory. Fuck that. We'll draw 2 cards. Okay. German East Africa and High Seas Fleet. High Seas Fleet lets me... I'm not interested in those. Okay. German East Africa. Neither of these interest me, to be honest. Now, looking at other people, he gets Empire. Anyone's? He gets British boats. I don't care at all about any of this shit. Germany East Africa is worth more points. If I'm not going to be playing in something, let's put it up there. Let somebody else bring that other one up. What happened? Hoover came out. I'm confused. I think I forgot to draw a card for the French. Which would have been a strike. Controller of the issue being settled loses 2 happiness. The French succeeded, so they would have lost 2 happiness on their turn. Now the Italians get to advance one more thing from here. You see, I missed refreshing that with the French is what I think happened. So I can add a powder keg for the Middle East and check for an uprising. I'm the only guy in the Middle East. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that come forward. So either add or remove 2 unrest from the Middle East. How bad is the Middle East? It's pretty bad. I'm going to put my cube on Prince Faisal. And now we draw this. And it's an uprising check, which is in the Middle East out of 4. We get a 4. There is an uprising. Smyrna is the only Middle Eastern thing. And see, this is where that rules thing would come into hand, right? I would be able to choose between Shantung and Smyrna the way the rules are actually written. But again, I don't think that's what's intended from everything that I had. But that would be something that it would be really nice to have something official from. I did not see any answer from Engelstein or Herman on this, right? I got an answer from somebody who may be part of the playtest team or something like that over on BGG. Or I didn't get it, but somebody else did a couple of years back. And there's one indication in the playbook that goes against what seems to be the case in the rules, along with common sense that like an uprising would actually affect the area that it's in and not any issue on the table. But I can see arguments either way. Okay, Smyrna's in play. How do we feel about Smyrna? Well, we can drive happiness up. We could play around with something else like the boats, because we've already gotten a happiness off of it. That reduces the... yeah, but we don't want unhappiness. If we give it to Greece, we don't get unhappiness, and we don't really need happiness. Italy can get happiness because they want things. They get happiness more than some other countries. There are cards that are weird that, like, give the U.S., France, and Britain like 5 happiness, but if that card doesn't come up, it doesn't come up. See, if I commit my military, I get I get unhappiness. Britain is interested in this. You know what? I'm just gonna do it cheap and put that in play. All right. With no influence. The U.S. does not care. Britain does care. The main thing they want to avoid is this. But they kind of want that because they can put a boat on it, you know. But yeah, we're okay. We'll pass. I think everybody else is passing. This becomes an exhausted military, and I lose a happiness. But I get this. Sorry, one happiness. I'll get back. I don't like this, but a Balkans, 2 Mideast, a bug. Okay. This was an unrest check. You see, this is where it gets confusing. Not a, but it was the unrest check off of the update that I did. I still have a military action available, so I can toss this into the Mideast now. Protecting my position there. And we're running out of battery. My raid game is definitely done with whatever it's doing, so I'm going to pause for a while here. Lightning has broken. Anyway, I still have a ton of coffee left. I put it on sometime around, I don't know, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Made myself an omelet and had some coffee and whatever. And haven't made it through yet. So that means I have to keep playing. All right. We're on the U.S. then. What's up with the U.S.? Yeah, they got some problems. Not a lot of cubes there. Don't really... Like, I could cut a deal with the Italians on Armenia. Or with the French... Not so much with the French. With the Italians in Armenia and convince them to do the independent anyway, thus avoiding the unhappiness factor. Or I could fight. I think I fight. Which one's more important to me? And which one can I win, right? Like, I have more cubes than the French do. So that makes that better. And that's there. Okay. Brits. Brits don't give a shit. I could take a draw. Take cubes. Oh, no. This is important to me. Not sure anything else is. I think backing things up is worthwhile. Do I care about this? A little bit. Not really. I don't care about Japanese happiness. I don't care about anything. Okay. When I tap like that, I'm assessing whether or not I want to put a military operation in play. And, you know, I don't want to allocate military, especially if it's going to cost me happiness to do it, if there's no good reason. French got beaten out here. If I draw cubes, I'm going to lose this. This is the one I want. The U.S. will not let me have that. Like, if I promote, maybe I could get this, because neither of us care about these. The U.S. actually wants this. might be able to convince them to take an unhappiness. Let's see. Let's talk to them about it, because they get the issue, they get this, but they would also pick up an unhappiness out of it, and the French would get nothing they want. But they avoid their unhappiness. Let's discuss. U.S. has the edge right now. They would get to pick whatever the fuck they want. France is in the lead. I'm going to say there's no chance. Yeah. So the French can't win the fight for this. They have less cubes. That's the problem. If I exchange this, I get my cubes back. Just give up. Or I can draw cubes and take those as a loss. I'm going to draw cubes because getting 6 back is better than nothing. Military operation. I got my army all over hell and creation as it is. Let me get another pipe. I'm out. The mechanisms to this. Churchill had, and for its matter, Pericles, had sort of this, some sort of hybrid type feel to the whole game, right? This feels very, very Euro. Very Euro, right? It's like cut to the simplest levels and everything. And there's something I really like about that. I don't like when Euros get more complex than this, and there's something that is very appealing to this level of game for me. It's not overburdened. I feel like I can make decisions. I can make real decisions based on the circumstances with a lot of ease. I don't have to agonize about them, right? Rules of thumb can hold up. Things like, hey, I don't have enough cubes to win that fight, so I back away. Which way do I choose to back away? Shit like that. All makes sense to me very nicely. So here I have an opportunity with the Italians to win something. Might as well. Collecting these up is your best way to victory points, and I'm putting together quite a collection of victory points here. So Armenia it is. What do I want from Armenia? Well, pissing the US off seems like a good idea, except I want one of those. Do I care about the Mideast? Kinda. It's as far as it can go. Yeah, screw it. So we will take a self-determination here. Not hurt the US at all. 3ME, that doesn't do a damn thing. Come down here. I'll remove two Mideast problems. And look, what do I want to put forward? Well, let's let the I could put this forward, force the US to start playing. That might be helpful to France, who has more points. If I put Transylvania forward, I'm just giving a gift to the English. So we'll put Korea up there. And over here, what do we want? A powder keg in the Mideast. We do not want this. Return all influence on one waiting room issue to each affected players available. Wow, that's kind of a dicky thing. Dicky enough that I want the cube. I get choice. This is not bad. Don't see any reason to dig further. 5 for Germany, East Africa. Sure. Better than drawing 2 that I don't like. I say. Yeah, see what I mean though? Each decision is like really easy. I'm not forced to look and calculate out, you know, all kinds of different comparisons. It's all just obvious. Removing one unrest from the region of the issue being settled. Excellent. I just got a Middle East. Gets better. Yeah. I was checking the powder kegs because I knew we had a revolt or whatever, unrest situation. Back up here. U.S. is in the lead. Generally, you want to take things when you're in the lead. We do not want unhappiness particularly. We don't particularly want that. French are doing well, so we're going to hit them with 2 unhappiness. Make them less pleasant. We just took Silesia in the Middle East. Great. All influence to the waiting room. You know, it's an interesting question. This gets to get settled by the Italians. We could drop the English and the U.S. out of there, which is it's kind of a weird thing. It's not necessarily terrible because they're just going back to available, right? It might be pieces that maybe you don't want there anymore. So, for example, if the U.S. didn't want to fight for this, but I think I'd rather pick up both of them in that way than just one. I think this is a very powerful card, but being pretty sure that the next issue was going to get resolved kind of weakened it. We go over here. What does the U.S. want to promote? I mean, we could give the Brits Transylvania right off the bat. Oh. Is it that terrible? Or we could give the Brits the edge in terms of being able to drop more quickly on some of these other things. Brits aren't doing all that well. I don't think this is too terrible. Powder keg in the Mideast. I have a Mideast, but somebody beats me out with more. Uprising in the Balkans. No one is in the Balkans. Move that down. Doesn't give me any control, but that's okay. Come over here. Don't want to play that. I got way too much to play already on the board. We like this one. 2 Empire chits. Definitely nice. And then we draw. Add an unrest to a region of the issue being settled. That was the Mideast. Pushes down. Do we just want to settle Transylvania? I mean, again, yeah, there's important stuff out there that I'd like to play on. This is kind of a who the fuck cares? But, you know, if I put a cube in each of these, then it just starts getting bid up. Germany, East Africa is more valuable. I'm going to actually do this. I just think I have so many interests out there that putting some cube out there. Plus, this puts me into having issues on the board, which means I have to defend them a little bit better. That gives me French. And French are like, cool. Everything's like open. What do I want? I think one isn't going to make it in Germany, East Africa, but do I really want to commit my extra points early? Nah. Italy. Italy's getting a nice bank together. What do I want to do? There's nothing I definitely want to play in. Take these. U.S. U.S. cares about this. France does not care in the same way. Do I care enough? And that means I have to put 2 in one of these. I really don't want this to happen. And the Brits are my competition, and they'll play with me with the High Seas Fleet. And I'm in the Mideast. I won't get hit. There's somebody covering me. So putting the military isn't necessary, and my happiness is low. I got too much military. Let's just grab it now. It's a long game. Putting that up there this early, a little bit dangerous. No question. Close this out? Why not? I didn't do it last turn because there were things I wanted to place in. This turn I can place this out and bring Arabia into play with the lead. Seems like a pretty good plan comparatively. I don't know. This affects the Middle East. That's not where I am. What do I want to do? Well, I'm not interested in containment. So let's give it to Romania. That's a Balkans. Sorry. Ooh, Balkans looks nasty now. Before I do that, let me commit my military to the Balkans without taking happiness hits. If I was higher on the track, like where Italy is, I might be willing to spend the happiness and a couple influence to get in a better table place. I don't know. Probably not with just one low value card. That triggers this. A powder keg to the Middle East. A powder keg. Then check for an uprising. Uprising is 4. Nobody has modifiers. It goes. All right. 2 Middle East. Everyone else is 1 or less. Has to be the highest valued one. Smyrna. Italy's got the first bid on this. We don't want to be unhappy. That's for sure. Well, other people are interested in playing, perhaps. So I am once again going to commit my 2-point infantry. If I take this, I cancel out the unhappiness. Seems good. I don't think anybody else cares about it that much. They think I'm going to go with this. I might go here, but you know. The Brits would have to put both their military units, which would cost them 2 unrest and a cube, because they don't have the 2-point military there. So, everybody will pass. Smyrna. There's a happiness. These both do the same. I don't care about boats. Yeah, we're taking a happiness, a Balkan, 2 Middle East. We had a powder keg increase because this was a successful revolt. I can commit my military to protect that. Well, it's not time yet. That's important because the Middle East could erupt again. So that was that and that. Now I get to pick one. Oh, I don't know. Don't want to give the U.S. a free pass. Let's pull this bad boy up. That might get some attention. It's worth a lot of points too. But I don't want to fight for it. I've got a lot of points. Let's let them play with that. And then coming over here, increase European unrest by 1 for each German economic strategy token. I thought those were reparations. See, here it says reparations. Oh. But picture rules. So this guy gets +1 for the, well, anyway, there aren't any, right? No, there's one there. Right. I don't care about that. I'm fine with it. Uprising check in the Balkans. If no uprising, subtract 1. I think this is, whose turn is this? This is Britain's turn. I don't know that they'd play this. I thought it was Italy's turn because they got hit with the unrest at an earlier point in the turn than usual. Britain would have played this. Britain does care about European unrest. They also care about Balkans. That uprising chance in the Balkans is too high. We'll put Dulles in play here. Now we get to pick. Kurdistan does not bother us one bit. Let's put it up there. There's lots of things that do bother us. And we draw. Uprising check -1 to die roll. Highest is up here. That is on a 2 or more, but it goes down to a 3 or more. Nobody can modify it. However, we now have an uprising in the Balkans. We do a quick look. Only Transylvania is in the Balkans. Not going to put my military on there. Just put a cube. Does anybody care enough? Is sort of the real issue here. See, you would become immediately the person with the most Balkan stuff with this. Which is kind of why, France will pass. They've got plenty to play with, but, you know, I mean, I don't know. You know, Italy, though, is interested. And this is the thing, it gets loosened for other people who maybe didn't get a chance to get it when it was available before. And why is Italy interested? Because they get points for control of that. So they're going to switch it over to Yugoslavia. Britain doesn't care enough. So we'll let Italy grab yet another. Jesus. They're getting away. They're getting away too easy. Now, before it's resolved, this happens, and then Italy will play a German containment marker and a Balkans unrest. Britain could take a mobilize action and move this to another area, or a military action, or demobilize and get a bunch of happiness. Don't want the happiness because the chart doesn't actually go out to 30, and I don't want to think about what happens above that. So I guess we just pass. And we resolved all of those. On to France. France doesn't care about this that much. They're just there for convenience. I could activate it to get my chit back, but I get my chit back anyway. I'm rich up there. I'd like to pick on the Italians, but there's nothing I can do about them, really. Do I have any military I want to deal with? Europe is important. I've got that. I've got Africa. I'm good. Push this here. What's Italy up to? Italy cares about nothing that's on the board here. Now, I could withdraw cubes in the hopes of, just enriching my position. I have so many points. I actually think I want to do this. And I'm just going to take them all because I'm doing the, well, see, this is the problem. Last time this would have happened too. This could have happened too, where I had to commit a bunch of cubes because I pulled them all out, where I could have just said, yeah, screw it again. Anyway, Middle East. Definitely want to commit to the Middle East. I'm going to go up here, and I'm done for a bit. Then a bit. Probably for quite a bit. Okay, I don't know. 1 or 1:30, Friday. Life's in weird directions. I hurt myself so bad shopping, but I'm still gonna go dancing. But my back and all kind of things hurt. My back, my leg, my ankle. Just so much got hurt in one action in my cart. Okay, let's see. The U.S. Gotta reacquaint myself at this point. U.S. has one they can pick up that they're interested in. The only other thing they've got on the line they're interested in, they might as well trigger that shit. Now, the thing to think about is, look, do I need to allocate military before? And that's an important question. So let's see what's going to happen when I grab this. I'm going to control this, which doesn't really affect me. I don't have any Europe. Middle East and Pacific that I'll be in. Mideast is nasty. Having some control there would be useful. My happiness isn't bad because I demobilized an army. So that is not an unappealing choice. Okay. The question is, do I drop the military ahead of time or not? And that's going to be... There are no Bolshevik strategy tokens, but I might want to eat this now while there aren't any out there. Okay, anyway. Or not, I don't know. So what do I get? Well, I want Japan to be unhappy, so I picked the independent choice. Somebody made them happier. Wonder who. And grab this myself. That's the weird card is like how many regions you have cards in. This is not a bad set for, well, that doesn't count. And obviously this guy's in the best position with all these cards. Okay. That fires this. Increase European arrest by 1 for each. There's 1 there. Of the reparations, or economy, or whatever. Europe goes up. It's gone. Check the Balkans if no uprising. Subtract 1 unrest. You know, we might as well just keep picking on Italy, right? Like, this is just too big a lead. So we'll put that down there. Nobody gets to control it or anything. It just will happen. We get to push things. We got the lead with this. We don't have a hell of a lot of cubes. Britain does have a hell of a lot of cubes. Still, I think putting this down is of some value to me. I chose this ahead of time. Shouldn't have done that. Here, don't want to do this for various reasons. There aren't any others. So I draw. Not thrilled. But out of these two, I think I like Palestine the best. It's an issue I don't necessarily want because the Mideast is in turmoil. I have a Mideastern thing. And then we just draw. Well, let's deploy that military to the Mideast. It's not going to affect us. Rather not. There's dangers to having military out there in terms of having to pay additional prices. I don't feel like defending the Mideast is that important to me at this moment. Things could go bad. Natural disaster. Add 2 unrest to a random region. Didn't explain random region. You roll a die. On a 6, there's no effect. There's a nice little chart there. Instead, though, can't add 2. Alright. The English have a lot of cubes and have 2 issues that they're involved in. I'm going to bid on both of them. Probably not going to be able to get the French one. That's okay. Could have cut a deal with the French to promote this, but I'm so far behind I need to feather my nest. And military, not interested. How about the French? Might be able to cut a deal with the English on this. Promote some things where I do have an advantage already. Definitely don't need cubes, but could also play out maybe, you know, an extra piece in German East Africa. The English can't win both of these. I think we play. Now I could spread out to here too and have a lot of power everywhere. It's hard to defend if you go everywhere. Africa and Europe, we're good. We've got military in both, which is somewhat problematic. Italy. No great choices for Italy. However, we can keep focusing on the Middle East. Maybe end up pushing that unrest down with a bigger military focus. Maybe. Because it keeps costing us every time there's an unrest there, while we have so many. Just be, yeah, it wouldn't be a big cost. I think we're going to. I'm going to pay a cube and 2 and push into here, that forces this down one. It also gives us a die roll modifier, makes these less likely. I could have gone further, but I don't really want to pay. Oh, it would be 2 cubes. Alright, we'll do it. Okay. And we played our pieces. I'm going to break there because I know I fucked up on my raid game. Alright, tea and pipe fixed and back down here. And game running. US. This is looking potential now. It's going to take all my cubes. But the High Seas Fleet looks worth it. And this one is one that I'm interested in as well. Now, I could have left that alone if I had somewhere else to go, because Britain is also interested in that. Britain's in a lot of trouble, though. They do not have the cubes. So I know I'm in good shape, because too many issues are filled out at this point. Because on the British turn, yeah, I can play 2 here and win this, or 2 here and win this, but where do I put the single cube? I can't be in the lead anywhere. Time to cut a deal, right? I can't promote both. If I look to the U.S., look, they're gonna hit me with one of these double whammies. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't convince them to do this or whatever. So we look to the French, and we tell them, look, we do the job you want us to do, like that you'd want to do, right? And promote and resolve this issue. And to do it, we go here. Or you choose to go here, because we don't want the other one. Now, that doesn't really give the French anything. So, like, why the fuck would I do that? I get to go on my turn and do it anyway. Okay, fine. As part of that same action, i.e. not getting out of the single turn action, I can also promise to escalate this, giving France 2 issues. Now, this is a dangerous thing to do. France is in better shape than me. It's not really a great deal for the Brits, but they're left with very, very few options. The other option they have, they could suck in their pieces. So this is a question, do I want to give France that opportunity? Because on France's turn, if they go, they can do exactly what I just said. What does it give France as an advantage? I don't think it's good enough for the Brits. I think the Brits take their 6 cubes. And just take their pass. Deal's just not good enough. Which means, military, no, of course not. We push it on. The French get to go. Well, see, the Brits are getting 2 of their 3 cubes back anyway, so no big deal. French want the French mandate in Arabia? Of course. Gets me this. British unhappiness. Middle East would go up, but it can't. Do I want to commit an army in the Middle East? Nah, I'm not too worried about it. There's somebody covering 2 areas. Yeah, there's some risk, but fuck it. That triggers this. Check uprising in the Balkans. That's a 6. Nobody can modify. Card gone. Take UNESCO. Oh, Balkans, okay. Yeah, and that actually reduces the unrest by 1. Ionesco was a familiar name. That was like the dictator. We cleared both of those. Don't want to do the military. We pick what we're putting forward. Put this forward. Yes, the Brits can play. That's life. You know? And here. You recover 2 exhausted influence for each Bolshevik strategy token. Not interesting. Exhaust 2 influence to remove a powder keg from any region. This is a powerful card, but I'm not convinced that I want to put my cube on something. It doesn't really help me too much. I'm going to leave it out there because I don't want to waste the cube. I get to choose here. Gale Canal, not a bad card for me, so up it goes. Flip. Controller of issue being settled loses 1 happiness. That was this one. Not cool. Back to Italy. I mean, it's not great, but putting influence on a bunch of things tends to mean I just get more. And I'm in the lead, so we'll do that. And we're back up here. I need a sip of tea. For the US, 2 issues. Brits are back in the game. This is my chance to get this. I got no cubes, but that sucks. You know? Let's get the Brits more cubes. Let's grab ours. Hey, we're not doing too badly, actually. High Seas Fleet. What are we interested in? We want this. U.S. Navy. 2 British Misery. A Europe card. There's people who are bigger in Europe. Recover exhausted in... This isn't going to do a damn thing. Up here... I have cubes, but I was out. I must have put these back up here. That's not good. Okay. This does not do me any good. I don't think I want to play with militaries or anything. And now I look. Don't want to put this up because I'm without cubes. What I'd like to do is put something the Brits want to play with. Unfortunately, this one kind of hurts me. This one kind of hurts, but I'm not in the running and can't do shit about it. Let's look at these. Ending with you, each player either exhausts 3 influence or loses 2 happiness. Don't want to do that because I'm out of influence right now. So we'll put this one forward. I picked my card. Still don't like this. Keeps coming up. German trade has unhappiness. Military intervention has unhappiness. Most competition is on the military intervention option. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, one of the things that helped me decide that one issue where I believe the rules are absolutely incorrectly written. These league and reparations issues, there are cards which put them back, that put them as unsettled. And they tend to be high value items, which means that they would always be the things that unrest would affect. Anyway, flip this up. Uprising check, -1 to die roll. That's the Mideast. The Italians do not want it, so they're going to put a -1 of their own. This doesn't cost them anything. That means I need a 5 or more on this one. Uh-oh. All right. Unrest in the Mideast. Well, that hits us again. It hits Smyrna. because that's the highest that I have. One thing I have this 2-point memory. Putting this here does not remind me of which column I was in. I can do that this way. We'd normally put it here. We'll put it here to indicate that it's in the +2 column instead of the +1. You know, just trying to do something as a mnemonic device. Why am I throwing that in? The Brits care. Am I miserable about what the Brits would pick? Well, they would pick this, which is the thing I don't want. Very well. We go around. US doesn't give a shit. Brits, are they willing to commit 2 of their military to happiness, or a military and a cube to play in here? And if they commit, that just means I'm in a bidding war with the Italians. I'm willing to let the Italians continue fucking around. So again, we pass there. The Italians pay a happiness, if I can figure out who they are, for committing to this. This goes exhausted. It would go back if I lost the bid. Smyrna is mine again. I take my happiness back, and the Balkans and the Mideast. Mideast drops down to here with a higher powder keg, and then goes up 2 for that choice. I'm going to have to keep paying to put my military back into the Mideast as long as I'm the guy who has the majority of the Mideast, and it is the powder keg right now. That was draw of the card for the US. Over here, I have shit tons of cubes. This is not terribly important to the Brits. What do I think France does if they resolve this? Well, and I can't make any deals as to what France would do. But I could promote it myself with a deal to France, but I'm not getting cubes or anything, so why? France probably goes with this. Really kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, they certainly go with that. Yeah, because I could play for this card and get into a bidding war with France. I'm going to want to put cubes down. I'll put 1 here. And instead of putting 3 on that, I'll put 2 on the Kiel Canal. I don't think Italy cares that much about it. US does. And military is of no interest to me. Geez, running short again. Might end up breaking, possibly for the day. Or the next couple days, whatever. All right, German East Africa. Look, I hate to lose this, but I'm behind in cubes compared to Italy. Happiness isn't the end-all, be-all in the game. So we're going to go with this. That's going to give me my second Africa. I'm in Africa already. I feel pretty safe where I am. So I'm not going to do a military action. Might demobilize. My happiness is getting low, but this is the bad point. And it's not that terrible. I will pick another French Empire marker. I'm getting a lot of Empire markers. And note, I get points for every Empire marker out there, plus I get points for the ones that I control that are mine. And that'll be US and Britain both lose. And 2 more African unrest. The French mandate is the only really, well, no, the British mandate isn't good either. Okay. 2 more unrest. Am I sure I didn't want to put a military out there? Yeah, I don't know. That's getting up there. Exhaust 2 influence to remove a powder keg from any region. Well, the only regions I'd be interested in are Europe and Africa. They don't have it, so we're just discarding this otherwise kind of useful card. We get to pick what we're going to put up. Japan would just win this if I put it up. The Brits are going to fuck me over with this. This is the one I want to put up. I mean, the problem with putting this one up is if the Brits go, they will resolve this and they'll get the points and blah, blah, blah. But Italy is on my side in this and they're the next player. Yeah, but Italy's going to resolve. Fuck, 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 fuck. All right, screw that. Let's put one we don't care about up then. And that kind of loses this for Italy because they don't care much about it. But they do kind of, I don't know if they care about this, but they want to collect the points, right? And then each other player loses influence or happiness. Add an additional unrest to each region that gained an unrest from the issue being settled. Add one additional unrest. Oh, for each issue that gained. It's going to be one of these two that's being resolved. I don't actually give a shit about the... Well, I do about that. Let's grab control of that. Grabbing control of this doesn't do much. Okay. And now we draw. Uprising, +1 die roll. I don't know what Henry White did. There is no explanation of these cards in the glossary. It's the issues that have it. The unrest is in the Mideast again, and it just boiled over, but because of that Smyrna issue, it just stays up there. And the Italians have no army there now. So on a 2 or higher at +1, it happens. And Smyrna again comes up there. And this time Italy doesn't have the exciting power play. We're going to commit. And without the 2, I know that it wasn't deployed. No one else wants to play this. I mean, the English, they could put a military in a cube. They can definitely win this. It's time. Time to take the option from the Italians. Do the Italians want to fight the Brits? We're going to lose this. Other people have options to bid. I'm just not going into their specifics. The Mideast is fucking me over. I would still be in the running for the Mideast, though, which would mean a die roll. Do I just give up on it at this point? Or do I bid? Let's put a bid in. This is a really, really big card. Like, it's a lot of points. It takes away from the leading player. Brits go in. You know, the Italians are going to pull out. The cost is just too high. That means the Brits put all of this in. Get this. They don't want this. They don't want this. This is the one that they want. Well, this might be cool, but anyway. What that means is Italy gets an unhappiness. And the Balkans gets an unrest. This slides over. I don't get the boat. boat might have been useful, but you know, I don't want to get an unhappiness for that victory point at this point in the game. That's too likely to get jostled around. That was off of there, which means it comes down to Italy. Italy can resolve an issue, play for something. Oh, we forgot to draw the French card. France would have drawn 2. It's supposed to do that first. That's the problem. There's something that deals with... there is not. By the way, this is one. Unsettle the league issue of your choice. This is big and full of unrest. It's going to hurt somebody. And that one probably comes up on its own at some point. I'm not involved in it. I have possibilities of good things happening for me. Seems like a good idea. Okay. Over to the Italians. Not resolving an issue is painful, but this is another fucking Mideast issue. We saw how valuable that -1 was. We ended up going into unrest anyway, using our military, then going into unrest again. The Mideast is just too dangerous. We deploy our second military again, I guess, because we're in the lead where we want to be. We'll take this. This sucks because Armenia, which I think we're actually, we don't really care. Armenia ends up being the one that we end up getting hit with. What do we want to do? We definitely want the independence, because we get points for independence. France gets miserable for independence. Poor France. This goes here. The French get to add an unrest in each region that gained an unrest from the issue being... Oh, I forgot to do this. 2 in the Med, or Mideast. Yeah, okay. All right, nothing happens. Was not a useful card to put a cube on. Do the Italians want to push their next card? Why not? The US has no cubes. We're likely to get another Mideast card from that. And then we pick here. Ending with you, each player either exhausts 3 influence or loses 2 happiness. Doesn't sound bad. Unsettle a league issue. I don't really want to play with that. This one gives me something I kind of want, and it's going to rain tonight. Kind of sucks. Now I look. Got no problem with this. Draw another one. Each player loses 1 happiness per deployed military. See, this is the problem. All right, France, Italy, and then Britain loses 1. That's going to push us around the table to here. Battery's low. Good time to break. Raid is probably done. And this, I don't know. I think I'm going to either be awake playing on the computer, playing Raid, whatever, or more likely napping again. I keep taking like an hour or 2 nap. I had like 3 or 4 hours sleep at one point. Now I'm taking a couple of little naps. I should have enough sleep, but the last couple of weeks I've been awake to like, 8 a.m. or whatever. So listen to videos for a little while. It just started raining again. And just lying in bed trying to sleep, and didn't get any snooze in. Nothing of any significance, at least. So let's get going now. Here we are with the US. A lot of cubes. Pretty much have to take them out. Anything else I do is just not going to be as valuable to me. So we'll grab a full 6 because we're full up. And any army stuff, I do not have an army in play, whereas I am the only person in the Pacific, I think? Or is that wrong? There's a single Pacific here. Yeah, but see, they won't know who gets it. So they likely will... See, here's the thing. The Italians in the Pacific aren't helping anything. So I could put a U.S. Army into the Pacific. This isn't that important to me, is it? Korea? If it comes back up, it could cause more Japanese unhappiness, which is kind of cool. Wow, they're still pretty happy. Let's just pass on it. It's not that important. The Brits. We could secure the Kiel Canal, get the military intervention in play. That all sounds pretty good. I think that's what I want to do. Even if, you know, this is something I'd like to play on. So get us a Europe. Other people have more Europe than we do. We don't want to boost that then. Obviously we pick this one. Even though it's kind of a mix, right? The German reparations and the British Navy kind of cancel each other out for us. We don't want the reparations, but the British Navy is good. So put those in play. We actually want the factory more, but there's unhappiness and everything. It's really a complex card, right? For us, we get 2 victory points for the factory. We break even for this. 2 victory points would be important if it was later in the game, but at this point in the game, I feel like the happiness is a good enough thing. And if we just end up holding it, hey, whatever. And 2 unrest in Europe. We're not in the lead in Europe, so we won't worry about that. We look at this. Ending with each player either exhausts 3 influence or loses 2 happiness. I view happiness as pretty important. Not so much for the victory point status, but for example here, I would go into a mutiny. So definitely don't want that. But across the board, unless you're holding something really important, giving away the happiness. If you're real high on the chart, maybe it's okay. Gompers. I wonder why. The connection between the character and what's going on is hard to like define, and even where the issues tell you, you know, what happened, sometimes it's not trivial to understand, you know, why all the markings were chosen. But with these, it really feels kind of random. Okay. Add 2 unrest in the Pacific. Do the Brits particularly care if they control that? It's not worth a cube. Unsettle a league issue of your choice. That one might be interesting. Now, I'm looking to see if there are any. There's the league voting that the Italians have. What does that matter to me? Sometimes you have to look at the values here. I don't know. Like, I don't know that I particularly want to do that. So I'm going to put this one out here instead. My draw, this is peachy here. And this one, each player recovers 4 exhausted influence. Well, that, you know, here's where it matters. If somebody doesn't have the influence. I mean, to some extent, it can have an effect depending on the situations. But a card like that, when everybody's got kind of balanced points kicking around, it doesn't change the balance of power, but it does change some things. For example, France, who's going next, will be able to play, very easily, right? And if you were really low, you might not be able to play at certain times, stuff like that. I don't know, might not be able to play in this particular location. How do the French feel? This kind of blows, but we could pass and let the Italians do it, but the Italians will probably turn this into points. Is there anything? Okay, we definitely don't like that one. And let's go with this as well. I don't think this changes any military issues or anything for us, so we push on. I need to relight my pipe. Italians already have a lot of influence going on in the Middle East. I've got a military in there. Not really thrilled about everything about it, but this one causes me some cover in case Armenia is more valuable to me. It's not terribly. It does have this. So we will record this one. What do we want done? Yeah, well, I think we want the plebiscite out of everything, which is an independent Palestine, or self-determination, or whatever you want to call it. This is just a matter of space. Oh, I lost track of who caused that. It's all fixed. Now I could create another row or something, but it's just hard to manipulate these chains with just one hand. We took that, but we got to give 2 British unrest. And again, I feel like at this stage in the game, unrest... Oh, that's not British. Unrest is more important. The biggest thing is the cards. Add an unrest in the Pacific. What do I care about the Pacific? I have something there. I think I'm as powerful as anyone else there. I'm going to pass on that. I don't particularly want anything taxing my cube totals. We look through the world, and don't want this because I haven't put cubes in it yet. So we'll bring Bessarabia down here. Select a player and 2 regions. They either exhaust 4 influence or add 1 unrest to each. So this is a powerful thing that I could pick on a given player. This will almost certainly be used against me if I'm not careful. What about this one? Unsettle a league issue of your choice. Again, I'm the only one with a league issue. Be used against me. Unrest is less painful, I think, than just losing a region. Then we look here. Nobody wants this thing, right? Like, this affects everybody. It's a hard card for anybody to want to pick. But it's a valuable card and might distract from me grabbing that Italy card there, because I don't want it all that much. I'm going to put it up there. Why not? And then we pull this. Uprising check -1 to the die roll. That's going to be the fucking Mideast again. -1 brings it up to a 3. Yay! I'm saved. Alright. And again, I don't want to play cubes. Cubes you get back reasonably well, easily. Happiness, even though I'm doing well in happiness. I don't want to play those things to get just a little bit of an edge on that die roll. Now, it's actually more than a little bit, because 1 point for this. No, I can't. I don't have any military. Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Because I push this down. Because it gets me one for here and one for there. And it made sense last time. It still makes sense. I just got burned by it. I don't really want to go dancing tonight. Between the injuries. It's rainy and everything. But I dyed my hair. And it's the only goddamn thing I do ever. Like... I like leaving the house type of thing, other than shopping or whatever. All right, to the U.S. U.S. cares not so much about this, but about some of the things back there. Yeah, I got a lot of cubes. It's a hard call. Okay about this? I'll put in both of these. Cheaper buys. Maybe I get something lucky. Who knows? Military. I have not committed any military. I don't feel like. The only reason I would is that Pacific, and I just don't feel like it's worth it. Okay. Brits. Care about this. The French have the lead. They'll probably cash it. They have something to follow up. You get kind of these waves of different kind of action in this game, right? Where people have cubes and there aren't a lot out there, so it's easy to put them out. Britain is not doing all that well. This big thing looks useful. I like factories. Oh, this is not a good call for me. See, I'm looking at which one of these two I'm more interested in. This one's not terribly interesting to anyone, but it is, you know, I could maybe just slip through because of it, but I've got a lot of stuff out there that creates unhappiness. Problem for me is this causes a victory point loss and unhappiness on the others. This one has a big victory point loss on the Somalia, has a big happiness loss on Somalia. And the good choice I like, I'm going to actually put here, even though this one's worth a lot more victory points as a card. You know, holding onto a card, although a reparations card is easier to hold. Fuck. So hard to decide. Like, this card would be very difficult. Like, is very difficult to pull away. And I have another. Of course, this would cover the other one instead of mine. Let's let somebody else get this one. We're not doing very well. Somebody else gets it. It becomes the target for a reparations issue. We played both. Military, no. On with France. Want to pause. In fact, something ran by. Obviously, kind of like a pet. It was wandering up in my yard. It was either a shaven dog, like sheepdogs tend to be, but it looked more like a sheep. It had like the muzzle of a sheep for the glimpse that I could get, but it ran like a dog. I'm not sure if sheep kind of run like that. Very, very weird. This pipe is hard to keep lit. I usually don't bring it down for gaming. I'll relight. Choices are difficult. First of all, I'm running low on cubes. I don't mind losing out on this. The one extra cube that I can get by affecting it isn't that important. This one's important to me. This one's important to me. This one's really important to me. But I have one more to place. This one's kind of cheap. We'll just see what happens. probably should have pulled counters out while I didn't have anything invested here. But it's hard not to want to invest, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's my mindset in the game. The constant, you know, now I'm at the bottom. I can't win fights because of what I did. Let me take these back. Let me not do it. Let me take my 6 cubes. Just not worth being the low man on the totem pole. What about Italy? Well, Italy's getting close to the low man on the totem pole and doesn't have anything they care too much about, do they? I mean, this one has a nice swing on it. We also will take our cubes back and our military. It's recovery time. Like I said, there's these waves of different actions. You know, everybody invests. There's an investment time. There's a triggering time. There's recovery time. It's just kind of neat how it all flows. U.S. can't play for anything. Again, you know, if everybody's passing to recover, I might as well do it too. And that puts it to the Brits, and it's kind of like, hey, we're back where we were. But you know what? We got this. Now, we may not want to put Somalia out there because we're going to get outbid. But this, military intervention, the victory point, but we don't care about navies or anything, or the happiness. We will go for the happiness, which gives a French and Italian unhappiness. France just hit a barrier. They just got fucked. The French can demobilize, but it's just there. They do not get the big 4-point demobilization because they got thrown into the 2 zone, but then bounced back out. We go back and finish the British turn. This unrest, the Italians get to do it. League issue of their choice they get to unsettle. Well, I think there's only one. There's mine. Wow, the Brits really shouldn't do this. Fucking hell. The Brits are stuck in a bad place here. Hold on. We had an Italian and a French. Basically, the French get their military back. There's such a disincentive for me firing this thing off. Because as soon as it happens, I'm going to lose it. And I'm going to have to bid for it again. And I'm not in a position to bid. Given all that, let's catch up with everyone else and grab our stuff. Our morale is getting low. We're going to demobilize for 4. Note the French didn't go anywhere because they bounced due to the mutiny situation. Wow, I'm getting lost because of the quick actions. Well, the French are going to want to demobilize, but French care about this, I guess. I don't really care too much about that. I'll put this here. Maybe I get a freebie from that. And then I will demobilize one of my military. But I could demobilize from there. Europe and Africa. I'm still the only person in either of those. I'm going to take 3 happiness. Just try to avoid having to, you know, lose a couple of happiness because of being too close to there. That puts the Italians on the play. See, this is so interesting. The Italians do not want anything fired off. They don't mind if this is fired off, though, because then I can unsettle it, and I could just trigger that right now and do it. But I don't want to. What I want to do is that and that. Lots of cubes being played in a rush that I don't like. Do I want to demobilize? You know, there's a lot of 2-point spots now. Feels like the time to do that is past. To the US, lots of cubes. Not really convinced that either of these is all that worth it. I could trigger, but again, this is so dicky. This has totally screwed things over. I could just fire this off and get it out of my fucking way. That would not be a terrible thing. And this is a position where, because I don't want to fire this off and I may not want to expend cubes, I'm in like this position where, okay, I would like to recover exhausted. Yeah, I don't have any anymore. So now I don't have a choice. I'm going to clear this thing because I don't give a shit. I got to get this out of the way so that that is worthwhile. Sure. The U.S. wins Bessarabia in a way that I would not have expected. Okay. They really like anti-communist. EU, so we're giving it to Romania. EU gets one of these. The Americans get this. Should have started with it all the way over to the left, but you know what? It's so hard for me to do that. So I'm constantly shifting things. I guess I could slide things under to the left, but whatever. That fires this. Unsettle league issue of your choice. It's optional. I don't have to do it to my own, which is why I picked it up without realizing how much it was going to fuck with other people. This is Britain doing this, believe it or not. Well, German trade or this will accelerate German trade, I guess. And here, select a player in 2 regions. Add unrest to a couple of regions. I don't know. Uprising check in the Balkans. If no uprising, subtract 1 unrest. Well, I definitely don't want to put that in. I think controlling this is okay. Gotta draw cards. We don't want women to suffer, so we'll move the Rhineland up there. And we get our draw. Uprising check if no issue unsettled, add 1 unrest. Uprising is always in the Mideast at this point. So we are at 3, but the Italians can drop that, or can raise that or drop it to a 4. But it triggers anyway. So another uprising in the Middle East. It's got to be Palestine or Armenia. It's got to be the highest value. And there that shit gets knocked again. Oh, I don't know. Getting sick of playing these out. This is gonna move forward and just bottom it out. Everybody else has a Mideast. If I just let this fucking go, I'm okay. I'm gonna put 1 on it. 1 influence. See if that's a good enough bid. US. Well, you know, if I don't have to spend happiness for... Uh... And we'll play. Britain. Britain kind of doesn't care. This puts them in a problematic situation if they get it. France has a Middle East, isn't really involved. They pass on it. Italy want to put more cubes on? I mean, it's cheap to keep trying to re-get it. I don't think so. I withdraw. The U.S. gets it. Now, before the U.S. gets it, this pumps up. But now the U.S. gets their choice. What I like about the U.S. getting it is they don't want the unhappiness. So a self-determination ends up there. And I get sort of some of the effect that I wanted without holding on to the card. Holding on to the card was just getting too expensive. Now there's sort of a parity in the Middle East. I certainly don't want to withdraw this, but now I might not have to use it as often. And that drops this here. I've got to swap batteries. So a check I have deposited the last couple of weeks. I haven't left early enough to be able to do so because I've been waking up at stupid hours. All right, let's take a look at the French. French are not ahead in anything. That sucks. Not really worth pulling chits. What's worth being in? This is worth being in. Maybe. Definitely. Italians. Italians are not in the lead in anything, don't have a lot of cubes out there. I'm in the lead in a lot of things up there. French are probably going to screw me over. They like those. But do I want to put another cube anywhere? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm going to scoop. The question is, do I want to take them all? I think yes, because I think things are going to break open. But it's a hard decision. You know, you're projecting other people's play. Reminds me of some of the kind of decision making in an 18xx game. Which, again, feels weird, but it really does. In terms of, like, manipulating stocks and stuff like that, making certain choices, etc. There's something that has that kind of excitement to each play. I really like this game so far. I think it's going to be long in this version. Maybe longer than I want it to be. For this kind of intensity. What about the US? I don't care about this that much. The Brits are in the lead here. They're the people I want. I'm going to scoop my cubes. Prepare. Prepare. What about the Brits? Yeah, well, they like this. I can bring the Rhineland up, a nice big point card. The league issue is gone. I think the time has come to bring military intervention. This is the league allowed to, use military force to enforce its situations? The Brits just got this. They don't want this, which means they go down here for the weak military intervention. That'll be a French and an Italian unhappiness. We trigger to this. Select a player and 2 regions. Okay. Region is going to be Middle East. Player, let's take a quick look, because the points may have changed. 16, 20, 24. 13, 18, 15, 22. Looks like the U.S. is actually a more problematic player. Okay. Well, I would do the Middle East, but it doesn't do me any good. But I can pick it anyway. But that's just unrest. Not terribly helpful. For me, the question is, where do I want the unrest to happen? Europe is protected. Africa is protected. So, Europe and Africa, I could pick on the French with those. Don't know. Like, if I trigger it at the French, I force lots of French cubes in. But if I trigger it at anyone else, I just get the unrest. Which would I rather? I think I would, God. Like, what about Pacific? I'm not in the Pacific. We could play with people who are in the Pacific. The US is in the Pacific. Italy's in the Pacific. I don't want to hit the French that easily. Okay, I'm going to choose Africa and the Pacific. And I am going to put this question on the US. The US has naval counters here. They don't really help them. Those are only for British naval influence. I just don't think I want to play the points for it. Especially to protect someone else's Pacific holding. Or European holdings, which I'm not even involved in. So it has the sort of threat effect instead of anything else. We're on the Brits. Don't want to execute that. Don't want to execute that. This comes down. Over here, if no self-determination strategy tokens in the Middle East, uprising check in the Middle East. Okay, let's look at the Middle East. There are lots of self-determination. So this essentially is going to have no effect if I push it forward. Uprising check in the Balkans. I don't care about that either. Does anybody care about the Balkans? Wait, why am I here? I must have lost my Balkans. I have an army in the Balkans. The US is in there, and Italy is in there. Yeah, let's push this one forward. Neither one of these gives a cube, so that's kind of cool. Don't want this. Ooh, lots of unhappiness. That sounds like fun. Feel me. This was big for the Italians. Famine. Add 2 unrest to a random region. And I mean, what does this have to do with Millicent Fawcett? I don't know. I mean, she's this, I guess, somehow. But again, I just don't feel like these are... that's Europe. It's not going to do anything. It's already all the way at the top. Right. So, we move. I'm going to relight, think. We're going to end after the Italian. French are in a beautiful situation on top on 2 of these. And these are important issues for me. Now, unfortunately, this one is much more important. So we'll grab the Rhineland. This sucks. We want that. We don't. We do want that. Okay, cool. So we will pick French annexation of the Rhineland, which counts as a reparation. EU gets 2. Well, yeah, Good luck with that. Italy gets an unhappiness. We have an opportunity to do a military action. We could push this forward. We have a lot of European stuff. We could push it forward more than that, but I think that's worth it. Because we demobilized the military, we can get all the way down to here before we have a mutiny. Not that I like that, right? But, you know. Uprising Czech in the Balkans. The Balkans is a 5. Britain is going to do nothing because they can't. And unrest gets dropped from the Balkans. French don't want to trigger this. Getting a bunch of cubes out of play doesn't really sound exciting to me. So I'm going to throw Fiume down. Try to fuck with Italy. Maybe the US. And then here. Again, this is unimportant. Ending with you, each player spends 4 influence or loses 2 happiness. Do not want to do that. So this one comes forward. Don't mind playing this. An uprising check. Okay, we got 2 of them now. Europe and the Mideast. We have to do Europe first. We are at a we're at a base of 3. And we're going to add 1 to that base. So it goes to 4. Oh, that's not good. All right, we get hit. The Rhineland, which we just fucking bought for so little, is disassociated. That sucks. What do we want to do? Well, Italy is going to be hard to deal with. So this is 1 in. Try to remember. And we go, Italy gets next bid. Now, Italy does not have enough armies to do this directly. They can pull out of these. But, I mean, this is just going to, they're just going to keep hitting us with this if that comes up, which is kind of shitty. But I think everybody lets it pass, which means the French spend a happiness. This is exhausted. We're the only person in Africa, the only person in the Rhineland. We don't want to pay the happiness and the influence for that. But we pick this up again. This shows up again. These are endgame only when they have effects, which is one of the reasons why I'm not all that concerned with the victory points I'm getting off of things. Just like holding the events is sort of endgame, but triggering these temporary effects is not. But before we do anything, this happens. And then the trigger that we did is 2 of these, 1 Italian. And then, this was the end of their turn. But we have another uprising coming. And then what else? I'm missing something. Maybe not. Okay. The other uprising check, the Italians are in the same place. They drive it up to a 4 in the Mideast. That succeeds. And this was just 2 unrest. No, this was just a uprising check there. Okay. So the Italians get away with theirs, and nothing gets reset. This moves down. It's the Italian turn. Well, we want to add influence. We're sitting in 2 places. Drop an influence here. Could put more, but you know, the US can outbid us. Question is, do we want to spread out? Why not? 1 point of influence, you don't win it, you get your cube back. So little or no damage. Italian army. Don't feel like playing it. So this goes up here. We're at the end of this video, I think, because it's almost time to play Raid, and this lets me load it up. And, you know, we were at a point where Italy was running to an early victory. Now, things are a lot closer in terms of the amount of cards people have. It's hard to judge all the victory points, but the amount of cards that you've accumulated is a really good indicator. The only problem with it is that, you know, if you're clearly in the lead, it's worth other people just hitting you, and bad things can happen. It looks to me like the Brits are in the worst position, just not that many cards, although they've got kind of high value cards. They're at 19 points total, but everybody else is in the, you know, in the 20s or 30s. So, yeah, it's not too hot for them. On the other hand, it means that people probably won't pick on them, but is that good enough? You know, it's one thing when somebody's clearly in the lead, it's pretty easy for everybody to kind of say, hey, we can't let him get this, you know? It's another thing to try and sleaze things because other people have interests in the cards that you're trying to take. Now, a card like this you might be able to get away with pretty easily. All right, let's send this up.